There's some interesting statistics out there. Many of you have probably heard already. Today, something like 80% or more of all 911 calls originate from mobile phones. Another interesting statistic that I read, this was from a U.S. Department of Energy commission study, was that the average citizen spends 80% of their life indoors. So I always thought that was kind of an interesting, maybe a little bit of a sad statistic. I
Yeah.
hope I don't spend 80% of my life indoors, but then I think about it. I work inside for the most part, and I'm fortunate that I sleep inside, and oh yeah, maybe I do spend 80% of my life indoors. But if you put those two statistics together, the way that people communicate with 911 is primarily via cell phones, and we spend most of our life indoors. You can, do the math and see that a lot of 911 calls are originating from mobile phones indoors. So I think there's a lot of opportunity now that the technology is falling into place to kind of begin mapping the geography of the indoors.
We started working with Geocom probably a little over a year ago, maybe a little longer, on the indoor mapping project. And what drove that was our 911 centers were starting to receive the more precise location information that John alluded to, both from wireless carriers and through the supplemental data provided by clearinghouses such as RapidSOS. We're getting this really precise location information and then putting it on a visual display of a map that put a dot on a building. And we had no idea what was in that building or how it was laid out within the building. John mentioned the statistic of 80% of 911 calls coming from wireless devices. In our district, that number is consistently about 93% of wireless call, 911 calls coming from wireless devices. So it's interesting that only 7% of our 911 calls are coming from a phone that has a static location. Everything
That's
else
crazy.
is mobile. So getting that more precise location information, we knew that we could do better at identifying the location of the caller who needed help. So in talking with the public safety personnel in our district, the emergency communication managers, we pretty quickly came to the consensus that schools would be the priority, that we're most be low-hanging fruit in some respects because we assumed that there was good floor plan data for schools.